He called me a whale in front of everyone. And when I finally screamed back, he said I owed him respect for giving me life. That day, I didn't just walk out. I burned the bridge behind me. I used to tell myself that maybe my dad's jokes were just his way of being funny. The old dad humor everyone shrugs off. But eventually, you realize it's not a joke if you're the only one crying. I'm 5'3", 110 pounds, perfectly healthy. My father, he's 5'5", 240 pounds. And yet, for as long as I can remember, he's made me the punchline of every cruel remark. It didn't matter what I wore, how I looked, or how I felt. If there was an audience, he'd find a way to tear me down. At first, it was small things. Getting a little soft there. Careful. You're starting to look like your thighs could start a fire if they rubbed together much more. Everyone would laugh. Everyone, except me. It always felt like I was on trial and the jury was my own family. People who were supposed to protect me, not laugh at my pain. The worst part, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew I'd struggled with body image in high school. He knew I once cried in the counselor's office after one of his jokes pushed me over the edge, and that counselor laughed at me too. Told me I was delusional. That if I had body issues at my size, I belonged in a ward. That moment made me stop asking for help. It taught me that maybe my pain was something I just had to carry alone. But nothing prepared me for what happened the day of the family gathering. It was supposed to be just a regular Sunday. I showed up at my parents' house where extended family had gathered, cousins catching up, food being passed around, laughter echoing through the kitchen. And then he started. At first, it was the usual. Look at how her thighs jiggle when she walks. Someone skipped leg day. People chuckled. I stayed quiet. Then came. Watch her stomach when she sits. Looks like dough folding in on itself. I felt my cheeks burn. I laughed nervously, brushing it off even as my heart clenched. I was already blinking back tears when he said it. The one thing I'll never forget. How do you even have a boyfriend, I mean? Is he into whales or something? Can he even find the hole? The room went dead silent, and something inside me shattered. I stood up. I was shaking, crying, but I looked him dead in the eyes. You weigh twice as much as I do. Your stomach hangs over your thighs like a damn shelf. And you're mocking me. What kind of father humiliates his daughter like this? He stared at me like I'd slapped him. His mouth opened and closed like he was trying to find the right comeback but couldn't. Finally, he barked. Excuse me, I'm your father. You will respect me. You wouldn't even be alive if it weren't for me. I couldn't hold it in anymore. And what do you get out of this? Making me feel small in front of everyone. Again and again. Do you enjoy seeing me cry? He didn't answer. He just waved his hand and said, God, you're so dramatic. It's a joke. Stop being so sensitive. You can't help the way your body turned out. Just accept it. That's when I grabbed my keys, walked out of the house, and didn't look back. Tears were blurring the road as I drove. My chest was tight, and I couldn't stop hearing his words on repeat in my head. By the time I got home, I was shaking. My boyfriend opened the door, took one look at me, and immediately knew something was wrong. I collapsed into him, sobbing, trying to get the words out. And when I told him what my father had said, especially that disgusting comment about whales, his face turned a shade I'd never seen before. He clenched his fists, jaw tight, voice low and furious. He said that to you? What the hell is wrong with him? And even as he pulled me into his arms and told me over and over again that I was beautiful, perfect, and didn't deserve any of this. I couldn't stop feeling like I'd been stripped bare in front of people who were supposed to love me. That day didn't just break my heart. It cracked something deeper, and it was only the beginning. I couldn't stop crying. The kind of crying that leaves your body shaking, your lungs raw, and your mind spinning with every cruel word you've ever swallowed. I was standing in the hallway of our apartment, still in my shoes, when my boyfriend wrapped his arms around me like he was trying to hold me together. I could barely speak, but the moment I said my father's name, he understood. I told him everything, every word, every insult, the whale comment, the laughter, the silence that followed. And with every sentence, I saw the fury growing behind his eyes. He wasn't just angry, he was hurt for me. His jaw clenched. His fists were trembling. I want to talk to him, he said quietly, too calmly. He can't keep doing this to you. I shook my head, terrified. No, please don't. It'll only make things worse. He doesn't listen. He won't listen. He'll twist it around and make me look like the crazy one, like I'm being dramatic again. He didn't argue, but I could feel how hard it was for him to hold back. He wanted to protect me. He couldn't stand watching me break like this. Okay, he finally said, pulling me closer. But you have to promise me something. If he ever says anything like that again, anything, you tell me. Right away. I can't let him keep hurting you. I nodded. I was too exhausted to fight anymore. My head was pounding, my throat sore, but being in his arms, that was the first time I felt safe all day. Still, I was spiraling inside. What kind of father humiliates his own daughter like that, in front of family, in front of children? And why did no one stop him? That question haunted me. The next day, I didn't leave the apartment. I couldn't. I stayed curled on the couch in oversized sweats, barely speaking, barely eating. My boyfriend sat next to me for hours, just holding my hand, letting the silence sit between us without pressure. At one point, he handed me a notebook and said, "Write it down, all of it. Even if you never show it to anyone, just get it out." So I did. I wrote everything. The years of jokes, the counselors who didn't care, the family who always laughed along or looked away, the pain I learned to bottle, the shame I was never supposed to admit to. And I realized something. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't too sensitive. I was being emotionally abused by my own father. That night, my boyfriend brought it up again. "You should talk to him," he said, "one last time. Look him in the eye and tell him what he's done to you. If he still doesn't get it, at least you'll know you tried." I didn't want to. Every cell in my body screamed no. But part of me, that small, scared voice that still wanted a real father, agreed. So I sat down with my dad. I told him how much it hurt, how long it had hurt, how deeply his jokes had carved into me. And do you know what he did? He laughed. Just like always. He said I was too emotional, too sensitive, that he was just joking, like he always said. Then he brushed me off with a smirk and a wave of his hand, like none of it mattered. And once again, I walked away. But this time, I didn't cry. I was done begging him to understand the damage he caused. What I didn't know, what he didn't know, was that the next time he opened his mouth to humiliate me, he'd be met with something he'd never expect. Because my boyfriend's family, they were about to witness it for themselves. And they wouldn't stay silent. The next time my father tried to humiliate me, he didn't realize the game had changed. He thought he was just walking into another casual visit at my place. No idea that my boyfriend's parents were there too, helping us plan my upcoming 21st birthday. They were sitting in the living room, chatting over coffee, kind and welcoming like always. But the moment my dad saw me in a pair of fitted leggings, the only clean thing I had to wear that day, his smirk lit up like he couldn't wait to tear me apart. "Why are your thighs jiggling like that? Do you even train? Or just pretend to?" It was loud, cruel, public. "And my mother," she laughed. "Of course she did." My heart sank. My skin burned. And then, smack. My mom had slapped my dad on the arm, laughing harder. Their usual act, toxic, performative, and always louder when there were witnesses. I glanced at my boyfriend's parents. They froze mid-sip, confusion tightening their faces. Annoyance started to flicker in my boyfriend's dad's eyes. But my father wasn't done. He kept going. More comments, more digs, more smirking at my expense. And then, something shifted. My boyfriend's father suddenly stood up. Calm, firm, composed. But the energy in the room dropped like thunder. "That's enough." Everyone turned. Even my father blinked, startled. But he didn't stop. "Relax," he said, waving a hand. "It's a joke." "No, it's not. You don't speak to your daughter that way. You don't humiliate her like that. Not in private, and especially not in front of people." The words hit like bricks. My dad started to stammer, but he wasn't prepared for what came next. "I've spent years watching my son hold her while she cried herself to sleep. I've watched him pick up the pieces after your words broke her spirit again and again. And I'm telling you, as a father, you are a disgrace." Silence. Then my boyfriend stood too. "You don't get to do this anymore. You don't get to joke about her body, her confidence, her art, anything. You don't get to show up in our lives and rip her apart just to make yourself feel bigger." And then my boyfriend's mom stepped in. Sweet, elegant, soft-spoken. Until now. She looked my parents dead in the eye and said, "Either you apologize, sincerely, or you get the fuck out. And if you come back again acting like this, you'll be leaving in a police car." The room fell into absolute silence. My father scoffed, still trying to act like this was some kind of misunderstanding. "It's what fathers do. We tease. It's tradition." "No," she said. That's not tradition. That's abuse. I was crying again. Not just from pain this time, but from relief. For the first time in my life, someone stood up for me. Loudly. Publicly. Without fear. And not just anyone. My future family. My parents mumbled out some half-hearted apologies, but we all knew it didn't mean anything. The moment they left, I collapsed onto the couch and sobbed. My boyfriend sat next to me, rubbing my back. "You don't have to take this anymore," he whispered. "You really don't." I nodded, because I knew he was right. But I also knew this wasn't over. A few days later, my father came back, smug as ever, with a gift in hand. It was a black garbage bag. He'd cut holes in it. "I figured you wouldn't fit into a real dress for your birthday," he said. "So, I got you this. Even made the arm and thigh holes extra big. Don't forget a belt." Then he drove off. I stood in the doorway, holding the plastic bag, staring after him, not crying, not yelling, just hollow. And then later that day, I got a message. He'd found my writing, my art, and he mocked that too. "You'll never be as perfect as the characters you create," he wrote. "You're not like them. You're not normal. You're just a failure." That was it. That was the last line he would ever be allowed to cross. Because I was done playing his daughter. I could have screamed. I could have cried. But instead, I wrote. Because if he loved mocking my words so much, I'd use them to end this, on my terms. I made him a gift basket. Not with love, but with purpose. Inside, I packed a stack of fitness pamphlets, personal trainer business cards, and a few contacts for licensed therapists. I also printed out a detailed BMI chart, highlighted his number, wrapped it all up with a hand-tied ribbon. And on top of it, I placed a note. No more arguments. No more begging. Just this, "Dear Dad, since you're such a fan of my writing, I figured I'd spell this out clearly, in a format you might finally understand. This basket contains some helpful tools. I've noticed your body isn't in great shape lately. In fact, it's pretty unpleasant to look at. So, I've included several workout plans and the contact info for a few personal trainers. One in particular specializes in men with large midsections. I think you'll find it relatable. I imagine it's frustrating for you, having a daughter who's fitter than you. So, in the spirit of helping you cope, I've also added a list of therapists. I highly recommend using one. And Mom should go too. She's developed a severe lack of spine from standing next to you all these years. Just for your information, 110 pounds at 5'3" is considered healthy, possibly even underweight. 240 pounds at 5'5". For a man in his 50s, that's not just unhealthy. It's dangerous. I'd hate for someone to start making jokes about that. It's really not that funny. Is it now? All sarcasm aside, this is the last time you will ever hear from me. You are no longer Dad. You are no longer Mom. You are no longer on the guest list for my 21st birthday, a party you never helped me plan, pay for, or respect. If you show up, security will remove you. If you follow me to my home, or even to the grocery store, I will call the police. If it continues, I'll file for a restraining order. You once told me I should be grateful you gave me life, but giving birth doesn't make you a parent. I have a new family now, and you will never be part of it. Please, do the world and yourself a favor and seek help. This is not a joke. Dad. Sincerely, your former daughter. It wasn't a perfect letter. It wasn't polished. It was raw. Fast. Me. But it was the only closure I could give myself. I handed the basket to my aunt, the only person on that side of the family who still treated me like a human being, and she delivered it. She didn't say a word, just rang the bell, left it on their porch, and walked away. Hours later, her phone started blowing up. Calls, messages, voicemails. She blocked them all. Then she did something I didn't expect. She told the rest of the family everything. She told them what he'd done, what he said, what he'd become. And one by one, they turned their backs on him. He wasn't just Dad anymore. He was that man, the one who got disinvited from his own daughter's life, the one who humiliated her so badly that even strangers were ashamed to share his last name. For the first time in my life, I felt proud. Not proud of the drama, not proud of the damage, but proud that I finally said enough. He'd always controlled the narrative, always made me the joke. But this time, I got the last word. Still, I wasn't naive. I knew him, and I knew he wouldn't stay gone for long. I wanted my 21st birthday to feel like a reset. Not a fairy tale, not some grand celebration, just a clean page. A space where I could feel joy without flinching, surrounded by people who actually saw me, who didn't treat me like a punchline. We rented a small hall. My boyfriend, his family, a few close friends, They all helped decorate with string lights and photos and balloons. I wore a soft blue dress, one that I actually liked on my body. For once, I looked in the mirror and didn't wince. For the first hour, everything was perfect. Laughter, music, warmth. The kind of night I used to dream about when I cried myself to sleep in a house where I was never enough. But just as we were about to cut the cake, I saw my boyfriend's mom whisper something to him and glance toward the door. I turned my head, and there they were, my parents, standing in the doorway like they belonged there. My father had that fake, calm face, that smug smirk he wore every time he was about to make a scene and act like it was your fault. My mother clung to his arm, eyes downcast, like she knew she didn't have the strength to stop what was coming. My body locked up, my chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. My boyfriend didn't hesitate. He walked straight over, calm but firm, and stood between them and the rest of the room. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw the hand gestures, the head shaking, the tension rising. Then I heard him, my dad, start to raise his voice. We're her parents. We have every right to be here. People turned. Conversations stopped. You could feel the air go cold. My aunt stood up from her table and walked toward the commotion. My boyfriend's dad followed. Then his mom. A wall of calm, collected protection built around me in seconds. My dad kept ranting. He insisted they came to apologize, that I was being ungrateful, that I was turning the whole family against them. No one bought it. My boyfriend's mom pulled out her phone and calmly, quietly, called security. Within minutes, 2 guards walked into the hall. They didn't scream. They didn't argue. They simply approached my father and told him he was causing a disturbance and needed to leave. Now, he exploded. This is my daughter's birthday. You can't do this. I have a right to be here. But my mother was already crying, tugging at his sleeve, whispering something I couldn't hear. Security gave one final warning, and when he still refused, still insisted that he was the victim, they took him by the arm and escorted him out of the room. He didn't fight. He muttered. He cursed, but he left. And with him, so did the weight I had carried for years. My legs nearly buckled. My boyfriend caught me, arms wrapping around my shoulders, his voice soft against my ear. You're okay. They're gone. You're safe. But the damage was already done. The party wasn't ruined, exactly, but it wasn't the night I had hoped for either. Everyone tried to lift the mood. I smiled, I thanked people, I cut the cake, but inside I felt hollow, embarrassed, angry, tired. The next day, I was home alone when there was a knock at the door. I looked through the peephole. Them. Again. I cracked the door, just enough to show my face, not enough for them to come in. What do you want? I asked flatly. We just want to talk, my father said. We're sorry, my mother whispered, eyes on the ground. I shook my head. Too late, he sighed. Come on, honey. We're your family. You can't just shut us out. I looked him dead in the eye. I can, and I will. You made your choices. Now you live with them. My boyfriend had come up behind me at that point, calm, protective. She told you to leave, he said, his voice steady. Go. Now. My dad looked like he wanted to argue, but my mom tugged at his arm again. And this time, they left without another word. The door clicked shut, and I burst into tears. Not out of fear, not even sadness. It was release. I had finally done it. I had finally broken free from the people who spent their lives breaking me. I leaned into my boyfriend's arms as he whispered, You did the right thing. You're strong, and you're never going through this alone again. And I believed him. Because this time, I wasn't going back.